So this is a video about getting stoned. I know I'm not talking about pot or drugs or anything relating to that nature. I'm really speaking about just a continued pattern I see where the majority of people I come across, if they say anything about me, it'll usually be positive because a lot of times, if I find something to which I can praise a person on, I'll do it because I generally enjoy being nicer than people that might be led on from meeting me initially. And those comments are also returned by individuals who I compliment or otherwise congratulate for being themselves. And speaking of being oneself, I really think that there's just this recurring pattern I see where almost daily there is some disparaging comment or disparaging notion or just line in particular that really, I guess, would probably put me down or is meant to put me down. Uh, it's kind of because of this that I've really developed almost I mean, I'm so used to certain lines now, but I think this is often the same thing with other people who, may be considered different from their peers or have different interests, just some unique thing about them. And I really I don't like saying things like that because I think all people, when you get to it, are unique and have their differences and their just attributes that they don't share with anyone else. And the reason we have bullying and other types of forms of disparaging comments are really because people don't realize those differences aren't necessarily always a bad thing. Most of the time, I don't even think are a bad thing. Uh, I'll see things sometimes, and I'll admit I go, oh, why are they doing that? What's up with that? That's kind of, yeah, that's something I've never seen before. But I always try to refrain from calling it weird or calling it strange or bizarre, um, because I don't know what that person has been through or what their outlook on life is. I don't go into meeting new people with the generalization that they know what I know or they think what I think. And I feel if more people did that, we wouldn't have the problem we have in a lot of schools with bullying and insulting other people and just generally being rude. Now these comments I get usually are kind of there's just something always disparaging about, oh, you couldn't do this, oh, you couldn't do that, oh, you suck at this. And I can't really explain it, but this is the saving grace is that in saying that I am not up to the par of another person, I might be up to the par in something else this person has never thought of. And if that's the case, then they've kind of confirmed that I'm better at something else than I am in whatever that given topic is. So I've never been athletic. So anyone on YouTube could probably beat me in a game of basketball or football. I have some familiarity with football, but it's nothing I've played regularly at any point in my life. Uh, you know, there's just this type of stigma attached to people who have those differences, who have those unique characteristics. And I've seen it personally. I've seen just the comments people make about others. How do you go around and tell somebody that they shouldn't be in school, they should just drop out because they'll never amount to anything because they're bizarre or they're strange, as you've determined they are. And that ultimately was what bothered me because a lot of times I like to think about how if I have an opinion of somebody, generally it can change, but most of my opinions of most people I meet are generally positive, so I would hope it wouldn't change. But that's almost the way a lot of these people think, where they just develop this stigma for you and you just can't get out of it. Nope, that's you. Sorry, that's you. And I've always thought that's such a messed up way to go about interacting with other people, because you don't know what they've been through. You don't know their situation entirely. You may think you know them. You don't even know their personality. If people can go and read an article about me, and they still wouldn't know my personality. They might hear what some other person said, what some other person claims I did, but that wouldn't give them one clue about how I think, what I think, or what I'm into. Even if they read my interests, they still wouldn't know why am I into that. What would set me up for that? Nothing. They have to get it from me. And I think that's a really big part of why people can't accept others. And to people who don't get accepted, it's really sort of this mind-boggling period where you just can't figure. You start to think something's wrong with you, or you just have this issue inside of yourself that you can't fix no matter what. And I don't think anyone who has a genuine desire to make something of themselves should be discarded by said individuals just for being different to some extent. And again, my whole thing is everyone is different. Some people like basketball, some people like football, some people have dogs, some people have cats. There's always some difference that sometimes we don't even have control over. I had no control over what year I was born or what my age is, and that makes me different from somebody else just by default. Does that make the other person weird for being born another year from me, or weird for not liking what I like? No, it doesn't. It shouldn't. And if they have some personality that I like to interact with people. Even though when I get in front of large groups, I do get kind of shy to an extent. But if I'm next to somebody, I'll just say, "Oh, how you doing? What's up?" Just start some dialogue. There are people who would rather not do that. Just keep to themselves. Does that make them weird or strange? No, it shouldn't. They have a different personality from me. If you can say I'm sociable and they're not, and there are plenty of people like that. Does that immediately brand them all as strange? It really shouldn't. So all in all, I really think a lot of the issues today are the result of just not being able to accept other people for who they are. Well, I think it's very simple. If you go into any new person that you meet and you just look at them and you say, make I'm going to make an ally of this person, and I'm going to do that by not judging. Now, there's some stuff people do that is just it just has to be up to that person to determine. I think if people go in and they say, I'm not going to judge this person based on how they look, how they talk, I'm going to try and get to know them and see what they think about things, what their opinions are, how they feel, what their desires are. I think if people really just went into every single interaction or encounter with that mindset, there wouldn't be any suicides in high school, none of that, because you'd have acceptance everywhere. But you have kids who just they pick at people, and they've picked at me, and I've just kind of handled it my own ways. But I don't want to see it anymore. I certainly don't want it done to anybody else, and that's really the appeal I'm trying to make here.